Hernandez wants to know, what movie from the past 10 or 15 years do you feel will be considered a classic years down the line, such as Forrest Gump?
10 or 15 years.
You know what's funny to me? I feel like the further away we get from Forrest Gump, the less prestige it seems to hold.
I saw the IMAX release recently, and I have to say, I think you could teach a whole film course on just that movie, because in some ways, it's bad filmmaking. Like, it's not really good filmmaking, but in other ways, it still gets you, like, emotionally, something about those characters. I mean, I cried when we met Bubba Gump, you know, before he even died. So that's an interesting movie. It has, I think, is maybe just as good as it was then, but.
That's funny, you bring up a great point, because I think, and I know we're getting off topic a little bit, but one of the things, I've always said, hey, if you're making a comedy movie, a lot of sins can be forgiven and your mistakes if you make us laugh. You can do almost everything else wrong. And I find with almost any genre, if you can start with giving us really good characters that we attach ourselves to, whether it's comedy, drama, horror, a lot of other mistakes we can overlook when we go. For me, the film that I believe like 20 years from now, people will say, wow, they didn't appreciate what they had back then. And I might be wrong about this, but to me, it's still Stardust. I love Stardust. And like, nobody's seen it. Like, nobody talks about it, nobody's seen it, and I think it's just magical.
Because it didn't have like an obvious audience, I think, Stardust. It's kind of like, it's not really, people aren't really sure what it is or where to put it. So
that's true.
Those are the movies that are always...
Until you watch it, you really have no idea what you're getting into.
I think for me, to fit into that category, you're talking about movies that maybe like we appreciated but will be even more appreciated in 20 years is Her.
Yeah.
Because that movie for me was groundbreaking. It was the first time we saw, I mean, we've seen movies with AI relationships, of course, like 2001 is obviously an AI relationship movie, but I love just the fact that it's romantic and that she feels so real to us as well, and it calls to question all these issues that are very 21st century about how people are becoming more and more obsessed with their tablets and their iPhones and their, you know, Samsungs and whatever. So for me, that movie, when I saw that, I thought, I can't wait to watch this in 10 years. I can't wait to see how I feel about it as technology advances and how close will we come to this idea of a near future world. So,
so Crystal, let me put Crystal on the spot here.
No!
Do you have a movie that you think people just don't give it its due right now, but you think 10 years from now, 15 years from now, they're going to realize that this was a gem?
I mean, Twilight? No, I'm just kidding. I'm totally just kidding. There's, you know, I think that's a hard one because I feel like even when Forrest Gump came out, like, I loved it, but I didn't appreciate it until many years down the road. And I feel like as more and more movies keep coming out, then we tend to look back at older movies and say, oh my God, but that one was such a great one. So I think it's really hard, especially with the amount of movies we see now. But I think that years from now, we'll still look back at Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy as movies that kind of changed a lot of people's perspectives. So
I agree with that.
I
actually got two. One, I would say Drive.
That was like
that's a great movie. One of my favorite movies of the last 10 years, and I hope that it gets more appreciation as the years go on. And then the other one is Watchmen. I think Watchmen was a masterpiece.
I was disappointed.
Was a masterpiece.
And everybody seems to fall on one side or the other of that, right? Yeah. Everybody seems to think I was disappointed or it was absolute brilliance. It's brilliant. Like one of those really weird films.
And I love the super extended version with the cartoon in the middle and like the whole I love it all. I thought it was one of the best superhero movies ever.
It's like my Cloud Atlas.
Yeah.
Because I loved Cloud Atlas, and I know a lot of people thought I call it like the masterpiece because it's a mess, but it's a masterpiece. And I feel like it's one of those movies that people might look back on in 15 years and be like, you know what? That movie isn't as bad. It got such critical rage, and I walked out of there thinking, like, this is filmmaking. Like, this is what it is. It's taking chances and being ambitious and breaking new ground and telling stories, and it was complicated and beautiful. And
hey everyone, if you liked this video, click that thumbs up button and make sure to subscribe to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It's free and helps you stay up to date with all the latest movie news, as well as our daily AMC movie talk show. Also, make sure that you follow us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with all of our special promotions, contests, and prize giveaways.